Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA. We're having a great time. If you're just joining us, we're about to begin our third match of the night. The first match was between Bear Huggers and War and Peace, where it was a 3-0. Our second match was Catfast Nation versus Peru, which is also a 3-0. Hopefully this last series will be really close and contested. It's Ehrmagerd Caernervern versus Boss Gaming. Or maybe it's Bose Gaming. They're sponsored by Bose. Who knows? Man, that'd be really
a
cool.
big sponsor.
That'd be sick.
That'd be huge.
Whoa, what is going on, man? Bringing in new people, new companies into esports. But it's probably Boss Gaming.
Yeah, especially because Bose is spelled B-O-S-E.
Yeah.
That is true.
If you're sponsored by somebody, you want to get their spelling right, I would think. I made sure I spelled Logitech right.
Who doesn't even? I don't even know, man. But the more you know, is better for you.
That's
All right.
right.
So we do want to remind people that we're giving out gold throughout the night through our social media. Andre, how can they get it?
They can do it by tweeting at us, Facebooking us, or even, I guess, commenting on our YouTube. You can go over to facebook.com/WGLNA, twitter.com/WGLNA, and also youtube.com/WGLNA. We already had our first winner earlier today. It was Mad Max 6996. And we're going to go pick another one. I'm going to go find another one.
All right, so Andre will
guys
get that
talk,
ready.
okay?
He wants to pick another one. We can get that ready. There's also a couple promotions going on through World of Tanks as well. This weekend is on the road to the AMX50 Foch, which is the Frank Tanks Destroyer line. You can get yourselves a lot of credit bonuses and credit discount for buying the tanks themselves, as well as ×2 crew experience. Lots of cool stuff. Check it out at worldoftanks.com. Not to mention, there's also a lot of cool bundles like the premium bundle, the quick cash bundle, the German TD bundle, the one you can get a quick Dicker Max, and you can get a couple of gold while you're at it, and a lot of credits in your garage slots. So if you want all that stuff, it's about $15 to $20 range with those bundles. Check it out at worldoftanks.com.
That's right. It's always great to see the type of bundles and promotions that they have for the different type tanks, and that's actually how I got closer to unlocking the T69. Is during one of the weeks they had a promotion for that tank line for the light tanks. They made it like 50% cheaper or 30% cheaper, and the credit increase was 30% more for playing it. And it was actually a nice little break from continuing playing the heavy tanks over and over and over again. Not that I don't mind that. It's great. But it allows me to go, hey, there's actually other tanks I want to check out here, and this is really beneficial to me to check it out now since it's on sale. And we all love to save money. It's like an American tradition.
Yeah.
I heard that in a commercial one time. I was like, really? I'd rather just pay for something and get what I paid for rather than it being like cheap and on sale. But these are not cheap. These are great sales, and they have really great bundles. And also, you really want to get that premium because that makes such a difference when you play on a ladder. It really does.
It makes a difference whether you're making credits per match or you're losing, honestly, especially if you get higher tiers. I'm starting to get to the point where it could cost so much to play rounds.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I love to play on the higher tiers, just that I don't have enough credits because I'm trying to buy tanks.
I want to apologize really quick, guys. I'm a little bit sick from E3 still. Got the nerd flu. You put a couple thousand people together. I guess a couple people will get sick because
and there's actually the growth of pathogens within a single area is exponential.
With all
it's
the
crazy.
moistness and the sweat and the dampness of all the
Yes.
nerds combined with all the pizza and Doritos.
And it's not like we shower. I mean, I don't shower.
Yeah, anyways, just
all
no,
right,
just
well, today I learned.
Guys?
Just my apologies. My
No?
apologies about that. Anyways, looking at the tank selection screen
I
right
shower
now.
once in a while.
Wait, I have to give away gold. Don't go
Did
to
you
the
already choose them?
I-
You're
I-
that fast?
I'm going to talk about it.
Let's do it.
All
I
right,
thought you needed more
Clutch,
time. Go ahead.
Choose the number 1 to 7.
6.
Okay, 6. Keep that in mind, guys.
All right.
We're going to go into my
6.
screen real quick. I'm going to show you guys facebook.com/WGLNA. That easy. We're going to go here. This is where we are, and we always post in the beginning of the broadcast. We have 7 people that liked it. I know 2 people commented, but we're going to go the 6th person down, Matthew Rawling. Congratulations. You just won yourself 2,000 gold and a
I'll write
week's
that
worth
down.
of premium.
Matthew Rawling.
Right here, Matthew. And he
He
commented
also
too.
commented. He said, glad to see the fights are not 10-minute camps as so many competitions and World of Tanks.
Thank you, Matthew Rawling.
Now, I do want to encourage you to keep checking out our competition because it seems like many captains that we've interviewed have said that they don't like playing very passive. That combined with the fact that 8.6 is on the verge of release, and I really expect some interesting new dynamic gameplay to come out based off of that
As soon as it releases, you're going to see a couple of videos from this company.
Yes, our
about all the
studio is
math.
going to release segments
About all the
new
math
stuff.
and stuff. I cannot wait. I know I'm going to include both of you guys. Not Clutch, though.
Why? I like math.
No, you've said multiple times that you don't like math.
I like
on stream.
practical math, guys, not things that are an imaginary universe you'll never use ever in your life.
You're a
like
hater.
imaginary numbers.
You're a math hater.
Who needs to know the negative square root of 1 or whatever?
It's actually
Imaginary
very important.
numbers.
It's incredibly important.
Anyways.
Because you need to
You know what? It's because I trust you, Greetorp. That's
Thank
why
you.
I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, Greetorp can handle all the math, and Clutch can handle all the good looks and smooth talking.
That's
right.
right. Somebody's got to have good hair around here. It's got to be me. That's
Excuse
Well,
me, my
Clutch has
hair's
got that on
perfect.
lockdown. So the first map, as you can already see, has already begun to load. Any predictions, gentlemen, for this series before we begin? Clutch.
Ehrmagerd Caernervern, they have a lot to fight for. They got far in the first qualifier. They're hungry for this win. I think we're going to see some excellent gameplay from them.
+2.
All right, so I'm guessing you guys are picking them to win. I am just going to believe in the underdog. I'm going to believe in Boss Gaming, but I do know Ehrmagerd Caernervern. They got to the round of 8 last time. How far will they go? The answers begin in map number 1 on Prohorovka, starting now. And over here in the top, in the red, we have Ehrmagerd Caernervern. For all intents and purposes, we might shorthand it to EC. And in the bottom half, the blue side team, where Clutch is observing as well as telestrating, we have Boss Gaming, which we might note as BG.
The engagement is going to happen right now, guys. Go ahead and jump into the action here. No reason to analyze right when you see the fight itself. Shots being fired almost.
no.
There they go. First engagement's happening.
Zum and Clock already getting double teamed here by Trouble as well as DM Gomes, and a quick pickoff on the Wheezy 32 can be huge.
Ooh, and a lot of misses so far. The WZ-132, played by Zellman, is going to be taken out finally, but you can see the big flank coming up on top of the hill. They're not actually pushing up to, three T-69s and an AMX 1390 just below that hill, ready to maybe receive someone, but no. They're going to get completely flanked. Oh my
They are
God.
surrounded immediately just because they gave up that position, and now all of a sudden Boss Gaming has been backed into this little bowl ravine in the middle of the 4 line, and from every which angle you see have Ehrmagerd Caernervern capable of picking off whichever direction that Boss Gaming is not facing.
That's right. I mean, it's really difficult for Boss Gaming to really do anything at this point. Their best shot is to go for the AMX and the WZ-132 all the way on the left side of the screen, as you can see, and try to deal with them and then sweep around. But right now, they're punching into basically an umbrella, and at every single point, their sides or their rears are being shown.
Well, it seems that Foster Kid was able to at least take out one of the Tier 1 scouts getting big. DeRosta, big champion, trying to draw attention away from CMD Moraine. But regardless of that, Ehrmagerd Caernervern still putting on heavy pressure, especially from the middle F-line, trying to rain and fire. Ooh. Big shots. Urtai does manage to take out T69 from Boss Gaming. That won't be the last casualty.
Those shots from DeRosta, again, distracting, trying to get the AMX 1390s to waste any of their shells on. Another one goes down. Beautiful engagement from the T1 Cunninghams. I'm so impressed that they're using them to their best ability.
And the last remaining person is a national oil well, but he has been mined out. GG, and just like that, first map, Prohorovka goes to Ehrmagerd Caernervern in just under 3 minutes.
Very decisive. Unfortunately, Boss Gaming, they were doing a good job with, juking out a little bit with that WZ-132, but they need to act on it. And I know it's very tense. It's a very chaotic situation, but in that position, you need to take your forward tanks. Yes, you're going into a bad position, but no, a lot of people are on that WZ-132. Take everything out from the rear, take out those T-69s in the back, and then you'll have a game where you can kind of salvage the situation.
I do kind of have to emphasize that this is not the first time we've seen Ehrmagerd Caernervern be hyper-aggressive on Prohorovka, and I think if Boss Gaming did a little bit of research, maybe they even knew it was coming, but they've done full-out 7-man pushes down the middle.
This is what
this is something what they did do.
Yeah, they love to do this as their first starter game. Set the tempo, right? Go for it, all 7, see what your opponents are capable of. Maybe you can get a quick 3-0 once you realize you have a gigantic skill gap. I don't think there's a gigantic skill gap that was shown just yet, but definitely they have not only the momentum, but potentially a lot of inferred skill, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely showed off their abilities with that map. Clutch, do you have any thoughts about that match?
Yeah, you would think take the high ground. There's not much high ground on this map. Well, there is enough, and especially where the positioning was for the blue team for Boss Gaming. I could see Fostakid actually cock his turret to the right and try to shoot across the 2 tanks that were moving to the flank. And yes, he was able to get a couple shots, but because of that, his direction, along with his teammates, is not to the front, where other fire is incoming. And those 2 T1s heading up to the top of that hill and just shooting down, one of the AMX 1390s turned and fired. That's 1 shot in that drum that's not going to be used against the other attacking forces. That, again, is how to use those T1 Cunninghams. Yes, they might be cannon fodder, but that is a shot, especially against an autoloader, that is very, very devastating when it is not used against a medium or heavy tank that does so much damage.
I do have to emphasize real quick, if we can even go to the damage report and show, Trouble 2 did an actual phenomenal job with being able to throw out lots of damage, being able to penetrate 11 times for a total of 2,000. So overall, very well done. And good teamwork from Ehrmagerd Caernervern and Andre.
No, I was just going to go off of what Clutch was saying. You know those T1s, you know how much HP they have? 300 hit points. Do you know why? Because they're taking a 300 hit point shell, right? Yes, they might only have 115 hit points, but that's a lot of extra damage that's not being done. So all of a sudden, you're wasting a shot, which is worth 300 hit points of damage on a 150 hit point unit. It's a lot of inefficiency, and you can say that T1 is worth 300 hit points worth of damage that wasn't allocated towards something more of use.
All right, well, map number 1 does end up going to EC, the favorites, one of the favorites of this entire qualifier. Let's find out what happens on map number 2. What will happen? We'll find out right after this break. Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA qualifier number 2. Now, if you're just joining us, we're in the middle of a series between Ehrmagerd Caernervern as well as Boss Gaming. And Ehrmagerd Caernervern took game number 1, or battle number 1, on Prohorovka very convincingly with their patented aggression. 7-man push forward is the best direction. Now let's go ahead and look at what's going to happen with, actually the next map hasn't been picked per
it's
se.
Himmelsdorf, and they
is it?
chose north position based on their...
So Boss Gaming has chosen the north side on Himmelsdorf. Pretty solid choice. I think north side is... I think south side on Himmelsdorf is just really, really hard to fight on because you don't have access to the station at all. Clutch, what is your thought currently based off the play we've seen so far?
You know, based off the play, again, playing with your enemy is your greatest strength in any type of engagement. Of course, how any bracket works, you're going to be up against a lot of different opponents. And how to understand those different opponents' play style is huge. Do some of the invited teams have a little bit of an advantage? Sure, because they don't have to fight through an entire bracket system, but that's because they place in the top 8 of the Major League Championship Series Spring 2013 tournament that was hosted by Wargaming. So with that being said, Ehrmagerd Caernervern is a team that people could have done a lot of research on because they played through qualifier number 1. And because of that, Boss Gaming may be at a slight advantage because they could have more information. However, any type of research advantages are completely knocked out of the window, thrown out of the window, based on execution and performance. And the execution and performance we saw of EC, if they continue that, not necessarily the same aggressive play style, but the type of strategies they have, and if they execute it well, they're going to take this 3-0, no problem.
All right, and that sounds really well put. So why don't we get ready with the next map to tell us straight, maybe to show some
Sure, I'll load that up for you.
Himmelsdorf. Andre, what do you really take on Ehrmagerd Caernervern? I think that they're still one of the best teams that haven't really qualified through.
You know, their range is so huge right now because I'm pretty sure they feel so confident that they can play a long game, rely on just better decision making to give them the win. I think after the last battle, though, they probably feel bold enough and confident enough to go up, let's say, like Tank Alley, and just, okay, I'll take the 1,000 hit point loss for an engagement that I know I'm going to win.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a really bold statement.
That's when they do an action like that. That's basically what they're saying, right? And they didn't do that so much on the last map because it is very open, very hilly, so it's hard to line up those shots. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something that bold.
It's different. It's a different story on Himmelsdorf.
I'm not saying it's very, very probable, but I'm saying it's possible because of how confident they are.
All right, well, that's basically Greetrup showing his confidence in EC. This is only day 2 of the qualifier. Tomorrow's the round of 16, and the day after that is a round of 8. 4 teams will qualify for it, and almost everything will be on the line, especially for these 2 teams. Ehrmagerd Caernervern got so close. They got to the round of 8 last time, but they lost. But looks like they're about to turn it around. Let's go ahead and get ready for battle number 2 on Himmelsdorf for the WGLNA qualifier number 2. Let's get into the game. Welcome to Himmelsdorf. Nice town, if I do so say myself. A nice castle on top of the hill.
I would not like to have 14 tanks being run through my town, though.
It's definitely a town where I feel like a horror movie could take place, especially around that castle.
It means Sky Village.
I bet they would be super popular during Halloween.
Yeah.
In the red, in the bottom half of the map, we have Ehrmagerd Caernervern, one of the favorite teams to get through this qualifier, featuring a lot of team members from Red Sky, the clan. And in the top, on the blue side, where Clutch is observing, we have Boss Gaming, which we don't know too much about.
Look at this, man. This is crazy.
A triple push up the hill.
2 AMX 5100s and a T69 going up the hill. If they don't have hill control, then I don't know what to say. I mean, they will always have a hill control with this. What they do is isolate their other 2 big tanks, the IS-3 and the AMX 5100, on the low ground there. It's very difficult to, I guess, congregate them all together in a reasonable amount of time. So if there is any big push down tank alley, which is this alley right here, then they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose straight out. But what they're hoping happens is stagnation. Stagnation until all 3 of those tanks on the top of the hill can go ahead and push down on around the D7, D8, all the way to A7, A8. They want to congregate over there.
This could be quite a surprise, too, for that one light tank that is just holding down Johnny Blood. Actually, shots fired, misses from Ertai in the T69. We saw Ertai perform very well in qualifier number 1, one of the mainstays here for Team EC. And that's going to be a little bit of a stall, I believe, gentlemen, when those tanks are going to try to push up the hill. They actually might redirect themselves, because if they get scouted, that means that their lines, their front lines that's available, is not going to be as well reinforced.
Well, we do have a lot of members from Boss Gaming pushing up the 3 line, and through 3 of them has been revealed by Shamhorst, who now is kind of caught in a tough position, but we do have some reinforcement fire from Ehrmagerd Caernervern, both from the high ground. Tommy Cannon trying to get some backup onto this F line here, or G line rather.
Yeah, they're shooting down this single place. Now, this is not the best position for Boss. I mean, you can basically shoot out and you will pretty much hit one of the tanks, so it's really, really unfortunate. Accuracy isn't a big deal for Ehrmagerd Caernervern, but they're hauled down really nicely on this nice little sand path. And you can see Boss reacting. They're like, whoa, this was not a good engagement. We lost so much HP.
A lot of hit points has been reduced. Just like he said, Foster Kid Scarro trying to duo this lane and push it back. Meanwhile, we do have a couple members from Boss Gaming trying to go a little bit further south for the flag, but we do have members, they're waiting from Ehrmagerd Caernervern as Ertai, in fact, are holding it down valiantly.
If you can't beat your opponent, move them, and that's what they're going to try to do with this flag cap. Still, Durasin and IS-3 locking down any type of flanking play from Fostakin and Scoro. They're trying to share that HP. Fostakin misses against a shot on the T1. That is not good at all.
Big blunder there from Boss Gaming. Foster Kid now takes a shot from Vect instead. Looks like Ertai is still clipping, doesn't want to necessarily take a shot. Shamhorst trying to distract and buy time for his teammates and maybe even disrupt the screen a little bit with some red flashes. DeRosta getting a good shot, trying to line it up, but a big shot from Turbo T to line it up and take down Ertai. Meanwhile, Vect trying to go around the corner and try to see if he can posture, but that does initiate a flag cap start for Boss Gaming.
It's not going to happen for long, though. There are a lot of tanks. 3 tanks about to surround Foster Kid, and down he's going to go. AMX 50-100 lining up the shot. Still hasn't penned. He used 2 of his shells. 1 shell is going to connect, and can he get the 4th one? Yes, he will. He's going to drop down to about half life here. But Boss able to take out that IS-3 that was kind of zoning out.
Oh, and Turbo does manage to take out that T1, so less spotting there and distraction. Trouble 2
wow.
coming in face first, tries to see if he can snipe it down. Tommy Cannon does manage to pick off the kill on Turbo T, and Skoro is the last remaining significant tank in terms of damage dealing out, and he drops as well as Tommy Cannon finishes off, leaving only Johnny Blood as the remaining member of Boss Gaming to do anything here.
The only remaining member of the Bloods and the Crystal to win, man. But that was such a march of the AMX 5100s. And again, Trouble 2 using great cover to stay alive. That one IS-3 was trying to get that shot to get a kill on him, but he realized, you know, guys, it's okay if I don't go for the kill. I'd rather live. You guys go for it, and they did. Great play.
And Johnny Blood just trying to stall for time. He did try to initiate a flag cap to turn around some members of Ehrmagerd Caernervern, but in the end, Johnny Blood, this is a boy in the middle of a man's fight. As right now, the last few moments of this battle will go to Ehrmagerd Caernervern 2-0 in favor right out the gate, and that's gonna put Boss Gaming in a really tough position and no more mistakes.
Down 2-0, not a good position. And I have to say, that's also not good position where they chose their first engagement, up the G line. The G line is the one that goes across on the southern side. You're lining up so many shots. And of course, they didn't really know how many tanks were on the top of that hill, but they knew there were tanks on the hill. The T1 was able to scout them out. So when it comes down to it, you can see that G line. It lines up so many shots with the hill. The hill is actually on the same line as the G line. That's unfortunate because there's so many positions that they have to attack and so little positions that Ehrmagerd Caernervern has to look at. And as I said before, they can just shoot out into the horizon over there, and they're going to hit a tank because they were grouped. What they needed to do was go and just cap. Capping is going to be 10 times better in this position because it's going to remove all of the tanks. They need to congregate a lot more, and then they have to somehow break the screen.
And stacking from the west side is not hard at all, considering there's a huge giant clock tower and the very bottom of the map to kind of aid your ability to shield from any people coming in from the eastern side of the map. Clutch, you're drawing on the illustration. Tell me what's going on.
Don't forget that T69 on the top there. That was pretty huge. The T69 on the top of the hill.
Tommy Cannon was being able to
put that T69 on there.
I'm getting there. Hold on. We're getting the right button. It's too small. Hold on. Going back. 5. Bam. There you go. T69.
Well, no.
It was actually on G0.
Or G9.
Or G9. Yeah, like around there.
It was on G9.
His head was poking out there.
There.
No, G9
came that way. That way.
Yeah.
That's where he was. Well, what I saw, guys, is you had the 2 heavy tanks that did move up the hill, and then they came back to reinforce because they realized, they're coming down this way. And plus that one scout on the side of the blue that was able to pretty much stop that advancement up the hill was big. But just like you said, Greetorp, they should have capped a little bit faster here. But here's that G-line engagement. Shots being fired back and forth, using the cover of the hill. T1 just moving it back and forth, trying to get some fire against an IS-3.
Every shot he attracts is huge.
That's right. That's right. It was
and I like what he was doing. Look at that. He's blowing up smoke. It's hard to see when that smoke is there. Just keep shooting the sand.
You can disable it on the effects.
Whatever.
If they're true pros, they disable the extra effects for sure.
If they're true pros, they don't disable it, Froden.
No, just kidding. No disabling necessary. As Ehrmagerd Caernervern was able to effectively shut it down. Great damage dealt from this trio. Tommy Cannon, 69, Trouble 2, and Vect. Great job overall by this team as they are up 2-0, which brings us to our last battle, which will take place on Ruinberg. Sorry, that is not the last battle.
Maybe, potentially. It's match point.
Last battle. I'm writing off Boss Gaming. Hopefully they can prove me wrong, prove all of us wrong, prove all the viewers who are probably thinking the same thing wrong. We'll find out right after this break. You're watching WGLNA. Welcome back once again, everybody, to the WGL. We're actually talking in the breaking about the NBA Finals because it's going on because we want to congratulate the Miami Heat for getting their second title in 2 years. Back-to-back championships is really hard to get. But we're also talking about this great series that's going on between Ehrmagerd Caernervern as well as Boss Gaming, who is currently up 2-0 over Boss. Clutch, Greetorp, let's talk a little bit about this map, Ruinberg. Is anything going to really change? What does Boss need to shift in order to deal with a team like EC?
I think it's just better decision-making.
And landing shots.
Yeah, of course.
They did wiggle a couple of times on the
but
T1.
I think their strategy, it's not always. It's a good line sometimes, but it's not the most optimal line. Like, they had all the information they needed last game or last battle to make the right decisions, but they chose, I think, the suboptimal location to have their first engagement. And when you do that, you're losing HP. Okay, you go into the second battle because you know it's not going to just conclude there. Go into the second battle, you don't really have a lot of options after that. You need some way to make up the HP, and that is only with position. And when they go for the cap at that point, they're basically saying, I'm standing right here, come at me. And that's not going to be good because it's not like they're coming from one direction. They're coming from all over the place. They will be able to initiate without taking severe HP loss. You're not going to be able to make up that HP difference.
I think initially what they should do, and this is the I was them, is to try to bait out their opponent, try to play to the strength of their current situation of the matches because they're down 2-0. Ehrmagerd Caernervern wants this. They wanted it from Qualifier 1. They definitely want to make it to Qualifier number 2. So, per se, they went up this route and then went back down the F road. This possibly could bait the north side, if they're going to go Delta Village, to move in a little bit, at least 1 or 2 tanks that would take too much focused fire and have to move back. They don't have to necessarily destroy any tanks. They'd have to do enough damage for them to fall back to the Delta position, allowing for 1 or 2 of the heavy tanks to actually clear out this side of taking down any available scouts that were placed by EC. And without having those scouts, EC's going to be in a position to think, uh-oh, I have to move back and cover my flank. I have to move back and cover any type of flag capture that can happen, which would allow less tanks at the Delta Village, which means Boss Gaming could move in and clean up and then move to a pincer attack against a flag capture. They're going to have to execute perfectly for this to happen because EC, I feel, is a more prepared team. They're a more experienced team because of their execution that they're having.
What do you think about Boss Gaming choosing the southern side in general? Like, normally we always say, we've been saying on cast that, you know, the north side, they have a little bit more options, of course. Obviously, they also have the chance to be capped very fast as well. But they have a little bit more options going to the Delta Village or going to the city, whereas the southern side, we don't really know them to be good for taking the Delta Village. It's just a lot more distance that they have to traverse. They chose to do the south side, though. What do you think about that?
I think maybe because they want to control the city side more. They want to plan the engagements to happen at the city area. Okay. The last match, they did perform better compared to Prokhorovka, which was more an open match, an open field. So if they're able to bottleneck affect better the team that they're up against, if they're trying to move into these different alleyways at different sides, they're able to catch them either on side flanks by peeking around the corner, getting the shot, and then moving back. Another tank moves in from the opposite side thinking, hey, I'm going to get a shot on him. You have an IS-3 that moves in directly in front to either absorb the shot or get another shot in. So it's kind of the sharing HP, the battle buddy system of moving back and forth outside of the city, into the city, shooting from the city into the open area and trying to draw them into the city. I think that's why they chose the south, but we're going to have to see because the match is about ready.
So that has begun. We can even read off the quick tank selections in the screen. Yep. Greator, why don't you read out?
4 AMX 5100, a T69 over for the side of Ehrmagerd Caernervern. In the other team, it's 2 AMX 5100s, 3 T69s for Boss Gaming.
Now let's go ahead and get into the match as Ruinberg countdown has already begun to the final seconds. This is potentially the last map. Let's find out what goes on Ruinberg. And nobody. Oh, just kidding. The last member, Tommy Cannon, Matt Damon, the boxes. I thought they were all going to ignore it, but we've seen that's very important, especially on maps like Ruinberg where you can take a really strong position. As you can see, the red team over on the north side is Ehrmagerd Caernervern. The bottom side, blue side, we have Boss Gaming. We have a good view of what's going on with red on my screen, Clutch, but we see an interesting predicament of sorts. We might have a clash pretty early on.
Yeah, yes. Blue completely forsaking the city side. Looks like they're going to move all the way to the east first, with 2 of the medium tanks actually pushing towards the Delta Village.
Vertai is a little bit out of position for any engagements over at the Delta City, over in this T69 in the city. So it's right now 4v potential 5. They are set up pretty nicely, but they don't know where their opponents have gone. And part of that is because look at where the T1s are. The 2 T1s are over in the city. So if there is another T1 that meets up with them, they're going to be able to engage and obviously win out that fight. But what it comes down to, it's going to be a 4v5 pretty soon. Well, right now it's a 4v4, but it's going to be a 4v5 pretty soon over in that Delta Village.
And that will give, well, going on the 0 line in general is pretty hard north side because there's just so many bushes that opponents can be hiding in, especially if you just back up, use the bush as cover, you don't necessarily reveal your position by 15-20 meters, and then they can't spot you whatsoever with that full camo rating. So Ehrmagerd Caernervern has to be very cautious, and they're scouting very aggressively.
Yeah, very, very great scouting. They're seeing where their opponents are not. So the T69, look at what he's doing. He's moving already into the Delta Village because he knows, wow, there's so much space we're getting with these 2 T1s. Let's go ahead and just move them accordingly. On top of that, what's going to be great is if there is action that picks up, these 2 T1s will go on cap, and there's going to be a 50-second timer. That means if they distract them for 50 seconds, they will be able to cap the flag. That's something so important to recognize.
And with a big spot on one of the T69s, I believe it was CMD, Commander Nareen, if I have to say that so fast. Skoro also gets scouted as well, so they get a good position. And now Durasa's making a pretty aggressive move, trying to do, at least getting a good proxy scout on Fosticate and set up a good potential crossfire. Trouble 2, getting the first shot, while Durasa can just poke in and potentially finish it off. And Vect getting a triple position. Great spots right here for Ehrmagerd Caernervern.
Absolutely, Vect is going to come in from behind. Now they're going to focus on the others. The priority is on Skoro, who gets taken out so fast, and now Commander Marin.
I feel you, Greetorp. Commander Rain no longer really has to worry about if his name's being read because he is dead. Diona's able to snipe Urtai, and Durasa was also taken out as well, but now it is a 3-on-3. But if you count some of the T1s, actually it's a 5-on-2. I apologize, I can't count. Math was very hard for me. That's why I leave it to Greetorp.
Well, those 2 heavy tanks, the AMX 5100s that we're following now here on the blue side, they go down pretty quickly. Trouble 2 is able to take down Diona 25. Turbo T, only one left alive. This is going to be it, folks. EC is going to move on. Turbo T is going to try to hold down and do as much damage as he can. But with his flag being captured and the only tank left alive, this spells doom for Boss Gaming.
Phenomenal positioning all series long between Ehrmagerd Caernervern, especially between Tommy Cannon, Vect, and Trouble 2. Those 3 guys have been positioning awesomely to be able to set themselves up for big plays. Turbo T drops. Ehrmagerd earns a spot in the round of 16 for tomorrow night and gets one step closer to getting one of those last 4 coveted spots for WGLNA. Well done, GG's, and good luck to Boss Gaming for potentially Season 2 because they will no longer have a chance to play, but they put up their best effort. But you can't really blame yourselves when you're playing against this kind of great aggression. Yeah. Sure, the match was early on slow on the east side, but because of what's going on, the scout on the west side, great response and great position.
You can definitely see the power of efficient and effective scouting in that last game. I mean, that gave Ehrmagerd Caernervern just the know-abouts of where their opponents were. They don't know where they are, but they know where they are not. So they're going to start the engagement and kind of have a better feel, whereas Boss, they're completely in the dark. They're like, well, how many tanks are we up against? Is this all 5 of them, all 5 tier 8s, or is this just 3 or 4 of them? Of course, they're not in position to deal with such a big attack. Clutch, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I want to break this down here, guys, on the Telestrator to give you guys a little bit more of an illustrated look at exactly what happened. Now, if you'll notice, the map control initially is for both sides to choose, honestly. And if the blue team decided to go west, it would have split it in half. However, because they sent those scouts in on this side, this area is completely closed in at this moment. They have complete map control for 60 to 70% of the map, and they can just move in step by step by step. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and look at the blue team's position. They kept 2 of their heavy tanks all the way to the south on the 0 line. These are the 2 AMX 5100s. For the rest of the tanks, they decided to push into this area, and yes, they did have a good spot, but for the most part, it's not the best spot when you get completely surrounded by your enemy in all these AMX 5100s. They moved in, got excellent flanks by doing damage on both sides of all of these tanks, and simply continued that aggression to destroying what was left of Boss Gaming. If Boss Gaming had the 2 AMX 5100s at the Delta Village, maybe a little bit back, not necessarily with the rest of the mediums, but were able to dish better damage out to their opponents, it might have been a different story. But that wasn't the case, and therefore Ehrmagerd Caernervern, EC for short, are the ones that take it home.
Ehrmagerd Caernervern. It's so easy to say it now because I've had to cast them for so many games, or at least so many battles, and for good reason. This is a team that I'm expecting to make qualifiers. This is a team that everybody at home should be following because they have been performing really, really well.
Absolutely, and great job again, just like you said, getting the 4 shots. It just almost seemed like their front line was melting, practically like butter in a microwave. Really, really easy series for Ehrmagerd Caernervern. We'll see them potentially tomorrow night as well. I know Randall will be hot to try to get those best matches for you. So we are done with our 3 matches of the night. Again, we want to review the matches that happened. We had Bear Huggers versus War and Peas, where Bear Huggers won 3-0. Then we had Cat Fast Nation versus Peru, another 3-0. And what do you know? 9-0 night. Ehrmagerd Caernervern was able to take out Boss Gaming with a quick and decisive sweep. So that was round of 32. Tomorrow will be the round of 16, where we present same time tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific. This has been WGLNA Qualifier number 2. We're done. Thank you so much for guys for watching. So from the Rancho Cucamonga Studios, California, Frodan, Clutch, Greetorp, and Rootkill, and the production team at Hero Love Productions, thank you so much for watching, and good night.